So everything that's happening in the Bible is happening now. Everything you read in the Bible is happening now. Everything you read in Genesis 3 is happening now. Revelation is happening now. Maybe it hasn't culminated, but it's the same stuff. Like the 666 has always been here. 666 has always been here. And a lot of these witches have received the wrong spirit. Instead of receiving Jesus, they receive a demon, right? They received the wrong spirit, and that's how they're able to do their witchcraft. Now, those who are under the blood are protected, but if the witch can get you to believe a lie, to live in fear or doubt or worry or whatever, if a witch can use their flying monkeys and their hive mind to mess with you and to get you to believe it, then yeah, they win. But it's not possession. It's not that they win because you're saved, but it's you. But instead of you believing God, you're believing circumstances around you. So the witchcraft is to mess with the only thing the witch can do to a born again is create a bunch of drama around you. But God is in control. God is in control. And so hopefully you see the patterns repeat. The cycles, every day repeats. The cycle repeats. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything's a cycle. Everything's a repeat. You've seen it 1,000 times. And so a witch cannot do anything to hurt you unless you step into it. You know, the way the witch avoids karma, which because they're a witch, they can't avoid karma. But the way they think they avoid karma, if you want to call it that, because everybody reaps what they sow. It's actually, a witch actually gets the karma encoded in their body. That's why they have pictures of them all bent up and all that stuff. And so the witch becomes bent. Not only she's bent in her mind, so she becomes bent in her 3D. Because the 3D is just a reflection of what's happening in the spirit. I gotta eat this food real quick, but I'll let me put this on pause. Maybe I can finish it before the phone kind of dies. So yeah, a person bent in their thinking will actually show up in their 3D. Sorry, but that's just the way it is. I know it's hard to believe. Look, if you look over here to the shadows, I was watching this cat at work today. The cat was the tree was casting a shadow, right? And the cat was grabbing at the shadows. Now, the cat doesn't understand that that's a shadow from the tree. But you as a human should be able to understand this. This shadow here is from the sun shining on this casting a shadow. Now this is elementary stuff. If you're saved, you should be able to hear me. The Bible talks about types and shadows and antitypes. A typology is like an archetype. A typology would be you could look at this cracker and say, well, this is a type of something. I haven't decoded a cracker. You could say this is a typology of a white man or something. Now, when it casts a shadow, it has a different, it looks like a square, right? Looks like a square. And if you looked at it from different angles, if you looked at that square from different angles, you might be able to interpret kind of what its source is. Like if this was way out here and you didn't know you saw that, well, you know it's square. You can listen to it. You know it's plastic. Fits in your hand. You might be able to interpret what that is by the shadow. And so if you have a type sitting over here, and you have an antitype sitting over here, and you have a shadow, then you can interpret what this is at the source. And so there's types and shadows and antitypes. And you can interpret source with those types, shadows, and antitypes. You're not like a cat. You know that shadow comes from this cracker. You know that shadow comes from my hand. So that's the way you interpret the spirit realm. Because the spirit realm casts a shadow, it casts a type, and it casts an antitype. And if you can understand what I'm telling you, your mind will be catapulted into multidimensional understanding. Everything in front of you is an object lesson. And everything in front of you has a type, a shadow, and an antitype. Has an allegory. It has a deeper meaning. Everything in front of you, just like in typing on a typewriter. That's why they call it typewriter. So you type on a typewriter, the keys, but those keys are a type of what hits the paper. And what hits the paper is the ink through the ribbon. And so that key hits the ribbon and imprints on the paper. And so the man pierces the vagina, imprints on the rib. Eve is a rib, the side off. Imprints into the Eve. She gets her identity out of him. When the baby's conceived, the stem cells attach to her brain, and so she becomes one with Adam. The stem cells leave Adam. There's a conception. The stem cells through that conception attach to her brain, so she's one with Adam through the stem cells. And then what happens is they grow together and the two become one because of the stem cells. She starts to look like him, think like him, talk like him, believe like him. And so the typewriter type and shadow is that you type, you're piercing those keys. Just like Adam pierces the vagina, Eve has a conception, and it's typed, it's written. And it's, like I say, the stem cells actually tie to her brain. She becomes one with Adam. And so the stem cells kick in. They have the baby. But the typewriter is the ribbon. The image is impressed on the paper, per the pa. And so there's a copy of the type on the paper. And so when Adam and Eve have a baby, the baby's a copy per the pa, because the seed comes from the man, per the pa. So the copy of the typewriter on the paper, the per pa, is no different than the copy of the baby from the man and the woman, per the pa. And the woman is the side of Adam, a piece cut off the rib of Adam. And so there's your typewriter, the copy machine, in two different examples. I could use many. I use the farmer. I could use many examples where the copy machine is all around you in types and shadows. So if you understand the types and the shadows and the antitypes, you can hear what I just said. You can hear that the farmer puts the seed in the ground and that seed makes a copy. You can see that when the man and woman have a baby, it makes a copy. When you type on a typewriter, your thoughts make a copy on the paper. And so that copy machine is encoded everywhere, and it's based on the Word of God, the seed of the Word going into the womb of your heart and making sons of God in the image of Jesus, copies of Jesus. That's what's happening. It's pretty cool once you see it. But the types and the shadows and antitypes with this whole thing, that's what you're down here to learn. And you rightly divide it. And you might have a shadow from this side and a shadow from this side in different angles. You say, oh, I see what that means spiritually. That's the whole deal right there.